I don't want to talk about guns. I don't want to talk about trans issues. I don't want to talk about mental health. We know where this goes. We know where this discussion, this argument goes, and it's not one that's productive. We moved to Minnesota. Our big fear was school shootings. When you live overseas for 13 years and you come back home, the thing people ask you is, so are you living here forever now? And the glib answer that I started giving was, well, no, not forever until my kids go into school. And I was baiting people. I was waiting for them to ask me the question, well, why is that? And I said, well, I don't want them to get shot. It was a glib answer that was covering up a deep fear that we had and have. So the fact that this happened in our neighborhood, it almost feels prophetic. It's like we worried that this would happen for so long, and now it has. The first text I got from my wife was, what are we doing in this country? We need to get out of here. I don't know that I disagree with that either. We have passports and we can go, we're Australian citizens and we can go and live back in Australia again. What are we doing here? Why would we live in this place where this thing happens again and again? At what point are we irresponsible parents when we have the wherewithal to not be in this situation and we're choosing to live here anyway? That's a serious thought that I think about every single night. There's an intransigence about being American when it comes to politics. This is the way it is, and this is the way it always will be. And the thing people started talking about immediately yesterday was Second Amendment, gun rights. We need to repeal guns. We need to do this with guns. And I'm so exhausted by the conversation because it's, number one, it's piecemeal. It's people who are saying, well, maybe if we just get rid of bump stocks or have this very specific legislation, that will fix it. And it doesn't fix it. The person who did the shooting yesterday, they got their guns legally. But it ends up being a political cul-de-sac because every time a massive event happens where children are murdered, I mean, it's happened here, Uvalde, and Sandy Hook, all those times, instead of taking a moment to be shocked, we step back and we go back into our gun debate again. And it's almost like a security blanket. Let's talk about the gun issue again, because then we can just pummel ourselves into submission in a political debate rather than just sit back with the horror. One of the first people that I saw on the scene was a woman who had a cardboard sign that she included was written Sharpie on, your thoughts and prayers, do something. Bunch of exclamation points afterwards. And people said it was insensitive because it was in a church where we're literally praying, but I took her point to be that people offer thoughts and prayers every time one of these things happens and no action occurs. The thing that makes the US unique when it comes to school shootings is that we refuse to change. In the middle of the 20th century, France said, hey, this government isn't really working for us. Let's start a whole new one. And they tore up the Constitution and they started the Fifth French Republic. So when you think of France as a country, you were thinking of a country that is like, not even 100 years old. And yet here we are so devoted to keeping everything exactly as it is. Incremental change when it comes to gun laws or any laws really. We have these politicians who are working within a system that they know they can't do big sweeping changes overall. And every time someone proposes a big sweeping change, everyone says, well, let's stop back and think about this a little while. And then more children are murdered in their schools. And then the same thing happens again. I know that in politics there's a thing called an Overton window. The Overton window says everyone has a belief and this belief is stuck in this place for a really long time and it can shift really quickly. Gay marriage is wrong, and then Will and Grace comes on TV and the Overton window shifts and now we have the culture that we have now. But it's not shifting when children are murdered. There's something deeply flawed with our society, with our country. We take our laws as gospel, as unchangeable Bible. The only way that you can argue that this is not a moment for change is if you literally deny that it is happening. You deny that school shootings are happening. And that is something that people do. And it's only a matter of time, I think, until it probably happens here as well. I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that we are a large country, hundreds of millions of people, as opposed to the other countries I've lived in where it's less than that. But my God, if now is not a moment to change our culture fundamentally, Constitution, rip it up. What's the point of having this system of laws if this is the culture that we get? Why would anyone want to live in this country when they can choose to live somewhere else? Why should I not move back to Australia? That's a legitimate question. I look forward to your answers in the comments.